and welcome to Good Morning UK Have Your Say, a Force for Good's mid-morning show coming to you live from our nerve centre here in the heart of the great British city of Glasgow, with me, your host, Alistair McConaughey. And this is the show where we are British, we love the United Kingdom, and we want to stay together. Thank you very much for watching, and do please send in your comments, folks. And TC's watching already. Good morning, Alistair, and all fellow unionists. Good morning to you, and good morning to Adam, and also to Jonathan, loving the intro music, and always good to see Barry as well. He says good morning, everyone. And there's Debbie. Good to see Debbie. Thanks for tuning in, Debbie, and also Sandra and Tommy from Glenrothes, and of course Greg is always in here. Good morning, Ali. Rule Britannia. Catherine Murdoch from Craigton. Is that Craigton in Glasgow, in near Bellhouston Park, I wonder? And Paul McDonald, and also Sandra and Catherine. And Catherine is going to be our guest next Wednesday. We've got a guest coming up at the top of the hour today. It's none other than Calin, who is the man who has produced this amazing flag for us, and who produces lots of bespoke wooden flags to order. So he's going to be our guest at the top of the hour. Fantastic, intelligent young man. Looking forward to that. Good to see John and Robert as well. Hello. There we go. Calin, you're going to be on in half an hour. Looking forward to that. And Shell from Ballach. And also to Robert here from Hamilton, and Tommy from Newcastle. Always good to hear from Tommy. Tunes in every week. And Jeff from Cornwall. Great to see Cornwall. Lovely part of our great United Kingdom. And Stuart as well. And what I'm just going to do here is I'm going to share this broadcast to other groups. And so if you're watching on Twitter, please do give us a share. If you're watching, on Facebook, give us a share. If you're watching on Twitter, please give us a retweet. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also share on YouTube. So let's get this message out there, folks, and let's get heard, because that's the way to do it. So we're going to just fire these shares around right now to other places that we're watching. Give us your thoughts on what's been happening this week. We're going to talk briefly about the so-called COPS conference, which is coming up. That is nothing to do with the police force. It's the so-called climate change conference, and that's going to be like a massive thing that the system is gearing up for and is going to be promoting over the next month. And we've seen in London, we've seen things like these so-called Extinction Rebellion demonstrations. I have to say, they are 100% approved by the establishment. You're not going to see the Tory party stopping that happening in central London, because they are happy to just have that going along with the whole agenda there. They're happy to see that going along. Good morning to Robert and to Catherine. And Robert says, Jimmy Cranky, we know who that is, has no idea what independence will cost. Well, talking about that, this week it came out that the new GERS figures, which stands for Government Expenditure and Revenue Scotland figures, showed that the deficit in Scotland this year was extremely high, at a level that separated Scotland would not be able to handle. Now, these were figures that were produced by the civil servants who work for the Scottish Parliament. And so they can't complain about these figures, because these figures were the actual figures that they commissioned their civil servants to find out. And the deficit is the difference between the revenue coming in from taxes and the expenditure going out on all the public services and projects. And there was the deficit was 22.4% of the gross domestic product. That's a high figure, and it's the highest yearly figure since the GERS annual accounts began 20 years ago. But of course the Scottish National Party were not pleased with that, and they didn't like that, so they're wanting to set up a new system of accounting whereby they can fiddle the figures to make it look like everything in the garden is rosy, and a separated Scotland would be hunky-dory. That's what they want to do. And they want to employ virtually the same civil servants, but they want to give them different numbers and ask them to calculate it so that the figure at the end of the day is less than what they found last time they ran it through the machine. So always got to look out for these people, because they're always going to be on the fiddle, basically. They're always going to be on the fiddle, trying to misrepresent. But in many ways, that's what we've got right through the system here, talking about... Paul says he thinks independence is fake, a honey trap. I think it's a ploy to see who's a traitor against the crown. Interesting comment. Kate Forbes hasn't a clue. Well, she's no harm to the guild, but she's extremely young. I mean, when I was that age, I was not looking to run Scottish finances, that's for certain. Sandra says, same as their education records. They want to make up their own wee graph that looks better than reality. That's right, their own wee graph, as you put it. Their own wee graph. So, good morning, Rick. Good morning to you, and good morning to Christopher from sunny Falkirk. Wasn't the weather just beautiful? I've got a kind of ready face at the moment. I took a wee 2-3 day break up in the Highlands just at the weekend there, checking it out. Went right up to John O'Groats. Never been up at John O'Groats, and so I've got 2 or 3 good photographs of a force for good flying the flag high at John O'Groats. I'll put them up on the internet this coming week. So that was nice. That was nice. Went up with a friend and came back last night. Paul asked, did I hear about Dominic Cummings in Ullapool? I didn't hear about Dominic Cummings in Ullapool, but I'm glad somebody's gone to Ullapool and given them some business, because goodness knows that's necessary these days in Scotland. Yeah, so the COPS thing, right? It's called COPS 26, and people are thinking, well, what does COPS mean? Believe it or not, it means Conference of the Parties. Okay, that's an extremely Orwellian name, Conference of the Parties. You know, that's like something literally out of 1984. Who are the parties involved here? Who knows? Anyway, this is the 26th of the Conference of the Parties, which is being billed as a climate change emergency. And as I mentioned last week, what they're hoping to do is to, in this run-up, in the next month, they're aiming to scare us all with the idea that the world's going to drown in a few years. And also, which it's not going to do, by the way, you can take my word for that. And so they're going to promote the Extinction Rebellion nutters, because that's I mean, these are people who have never had a proper hobby in their life, right? And then they're probably totally I'll just leave that thought. I'll just park that thought there. But these are people who basically think they can change the world through taking their clothes off in public in the centre of London. And of course, these days they can get away with that because the government's basically cheering them on. I mean, I say the government, I mean the whole of Parliament, everybody is in on this. And it's such an intangible, weird concept. This idea that in 400 years' time, the oceans are going to rise by an inch, and there's going to be people on a deserted island somewhere who are all going to get flooded, and that I've got to care about that. Well, I don't care about people getting flooded on a desert island 400 years from now, because I know that if the oceans rise an inch, in 400 years' time, the people on that desert island will have found a way to move to safety 1 inch higher. Okay? Because humanity always finds a way to deal with it. So there's nothing to worry about. I'll tell you what I worry about. I worry about plastic in the oceans. I worry about litter in the park. These are sort of tangible things that I can be concerned about and I can do things about. But I don't care about the climate changing in hundreds of years, because I know that humans will deal with it. So this sort of language that we're always hearing about, there's a climate emergency, there's a climate catastrophe, that's all just bunkum. It's all just bunkum, and it's all intangible nonsense. And it's like a modern day, it's like in the old days, in the medieval period, they would try to scare you with all sorts of intangible fears. And this is just the modern version of that. And what I worry about specifically is the extent to which they're pushing this in schools and scaring children and thereby corrupting their development, because children should be looking to the world, looking to the future with hope, with optimism, with happiness, with a can-do attitude. And they're throwing all these existential fears and intangible fears upon these young children at school and overloading their minds with fear of catastrophe, all of which is just nonsense, absolute gibberish. And this is the approach you have to take with these people. You can't go, well, I sort of agree with a bit of that. You just have to go, no, you're all wrong. You're all wrong on it. And it has to just be swept away, because they will keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I saw yesterday the Green Goblin, the flower pot man, who is now, what's he called? I don't know if he's yet been called a deputy first minister, but him and his crew of fruitcakes are now part of the misnamed Scottish government. I'm talking, of course, about the leader of the Scottish Green Party. And he put out a tweet, and I have it here, and I'll just read it out for you. But he was crowing about the fact that Glasgow City Council is going to not allow their public buildings to be used by, quote, those who deny, ignore, or willfully contribute to catastrophic climate change. I mean, what a load of rubbish. Those who deny, ignore, or willfully contribute. Well, who on earth is that? And what does that actually mean? I mean, I certainly ignore catastrophic climate change, just as I ignore absolutely everything else that comes out of that person's mouth. I don't ignore it, I fight against it, because it's all just lies. And we need to get our heads back on our shoulders again. We need to screw our heads on properly and realise when we're being played by people who don't understand reality. I mean, these people don't understand the nature of life at all. And they'll just give us all of these existential fears and nonsense and expect us to believe it. And then they will deny public buildings to us. Now, people might say, well, what he's talking about there is he's talking about denying public buildings to, Shell Oil, if that still exists, I don't know, BP, those sorts of places. Yes, that's what he's talking about. But he's actually, the way that he's framed that is he's really talking about you and I. He's really talking about people who disagree with him on anything. So that's a very bad precedent to be set. And you always have to remember, when you're dealing with these people, you are dealing with fanatics. You're dealing with fundamentalists, people who will not brook any opposition. And the more power they get given, the more power they will take to themselves and hold and keep. And so, yeah, we're moving into difficult times, but as long as you can understand that you're being played, then that's half the battle. That's half the battle. And as for what we as individuals can do, well, don't litter in the park, and cut down on reuse plastic and stuff like that. Tangible things that we can do that make sense as individuals, but don't give any concern about the world exploding in 400 years or people drowning in the Pacific Ocean in 1,200 years or something like that, because these things will work out by that time. It'll work out. So you just have to live your life and enjoy your life and have fun. And don't allow the system to scare you, because when it scares you, it's trying to control you. And oh my goodness, we're going to get 2 weeks of scariness pushed on us at this so-called Orwellian conference of the parties. But we're here in Glasgow. We'll do what we can to shout out against the lies. And we'll see how that goes. Now, that's the 31st of October until the 12th of November, when we're going to be subjected to this unseemly domination. And that's going to be interesting. And but as long as we can learn from it, don't believe a word that comes out of it. Don't believe a word. Don't believe a word. That's a Thin Lizzy song. Believe a word. I think that's what it's called, actually. So don't believe a word of what's coming out of the COP's conferences, and rise above it, because who's telling you who's telling you this? It's like the flower pot man Patrick Harvey and Mrs. Flubberlub, who is his co-leader. I mean, why on earth would you listen to them? And of course, that's Nicola Sturgeon and her crew. And then you've got just a load of other government ministers from the rest of the UK who are all in on this, unfortunately. They're all in on this. Where can we find common sense? Where can we find common sense other than in this programme, Good Morning UK, have your say? Letitia, good morning from sunny Largs. Largs is a beautiful part of the country, right there beside the sea. And I do love the west coast of Scotland. Grew up in the west coast of Scotland, in the Ayrshire area, and beautiful. When the weather's beautiful, it's a lovely area of the country. Hey Ross, good to see you. Flower pot man, exactly. Yeah, Richard says he's talking about totalitarianism. Folks, at the top of the hour, we've got Calin Wynne coming up. The man who made this flag and who makes lots of flags for you if you want. And he is a great artisan. Shell still exists. There you go. Okay, Adam, I'm sure you're going to tell us what that means. If you can. Thanks. Pauline says, absolutely agree with you over climate change and more fear. That's the thing. It's all just a state of fear. A state of fear, as this book put it. A state of fear. That's what we're coming into. And I saw an advert from of all places, NHS Lanarkshire, yesterday on Facebook. And I'll just talk about this briefly, but they're trying to scare everybody that we're all going to die of the flu and all that sort of stuff. It's all part of this state of fear. Well, one of the problems that they've got is getting younger people to get vaccinated. So they actually had an advert showing about 7 or 8 young ladies under a palm tree saying that if they get double vaccinated, they won't have to pay so much for their tests when they go and come back on holiday. So it was nothing about any supposed health benefits. It was just, we've got to get these young women vaccinated. How do we do it? What do they like doing? They like going on holiday to sunny climates. Tell them that they won't have to pay so much for their test. And it was perfectly done advert, and it was really, really creepy. And I'm not going to put it up because I don't want to give it any more publicity, but I just thought, you absolute bad people who put that together. You know, they are really, there's an element of the behavioural scientists and the PR people and everything. That's really evil what you did there. And are you ever going to pay for that? I would hope so. I would like to think so. But, you know, that's not the way of reality. The way of reality is that you can get away with things, unfortunately. History tells us that. And that's what these people are banking on. They're banking on getting away with it. But we have to say, who's in the head of NHS Lanarkshire? And in a perfect world, they would be held responsible for their actions. Crikey, I'm annoyed this morning about that. Oh, wow. Also coming up at the top of the hour, we've got our competition. And the competition will be for this fantastic tin of God Save the Queen's sweeties. Okay, and I've tried some of them and they're really nice. They're like pastels of all fruit flavours. And nice wee tin here. And it says God Save the Queen E2R on the front of it. And all you need to do is to send in the answer to the question that we'll ask after we've spoken about this day in British history. Just send it into our email, contact@aforceforgood.uk. Cognitive behavioural control, says Shell. That's exactly what it is. This science of behavioural control. And you know, they're so good at it. They're so good at it. And in the face of this multi-billion-pound industry of behavioural control, it's very difficult to fight back against it. Because we are all, including myself, we're all vulnerable to their ability to spin and lie. And it takes some time to see through it. And I do worry about young people who don't have the proper guidance who just go along with it. Because one of the things that the system is trying to do is to make it appear to be trendy, you know. But what's actually trendy is not going along with the system. That's actually what's trendy. Don't go along with the system. Yeah, if you want to be healthy, eat healthy. That's basically the bottom line. So on this day, today is the 25th of August, and a couple of things happened in British history on this day. James Watt, one of the fathers of the British Empire. You know, he doesn't get the credit for that, but he's definitely, without James Watt, hero of the Industrial Revolution, we would not have had a British Empire, because he created, he improved the steam engine. He didn't invent the steam engine, he improved the steam engine, and he was in the right place at the right time with a great colleague called William Murdoch. And he also had a business partner called Matthew Bolton, who was an Englishman. William Murdoch was a fellow Scotsman from Cumnock, and Matthew Bolton was from Birmingham. And Matthew Bolton appears to have, to the extent I can understand it, he seems to have had the cash, and they put their brains and cash together, and they created, essentially, you could say, hugely the Industrial Revolution. And they built the steam engines which were to fire the ships of the British Royal Navy, and also all the mines and factories, not just in the United Kingdom, but worldwide. So he is definitely a hero both of the Industrial Revolution and the British Empire, and that's James Watt. And he was, of course, born in Greenock, and he died in Birmingham, at the age of 83 on this day, the 25th of August in 1819. And Birmingham has a really nice statue to the three of these guys. I'll just share it here on the screen. There we go. That's that on the left is Bolton. In the middle, that's James Watt, and on the right hand side there, that's William Murdoch, and that's called the Golden Boys. And that statue sits in Birmingham. It's actually being renovated at the moment because the area that it sits in is being renovated, but it's going to be back out again. No doubt it'll be back out again, and they'll have something nasty to say about James Watt. No doubt, because of course anybody born before 1997 is obviously a racist these days. So, and there's probably some truth in that, to be frank with you, certainly by today's standards. So yeah, I always see 1997 as a kind of cut-off period when Blair took everything over and attempted to change things. So no doubt they'll have something nasty to say about him, but we love him and we revere him as a great hero, such as also was Matthew Bolton and William Murdoch, regardless of what their opinions may have been, or regardless of how they made their money, or regardless of somebody who once knew them made their money, or something like that. You know the BLM people, they totally try to befoul everybody, because that's part of the agenda that's going on as well. Scare you to death with absolutely crazy threats of dying of the flu, or of getting drowned in 1800 years' time, or just getting upset because you're a racist. All this, it's all just bollocks. I'm going to say it, bollocks. It just has to go, man. Just has to go. It's just complete nonsense. I mean, it's intended to demoralize, but at the end of the day, you just have to go, take that away, take it away, wanna hear you say, take it away. What song's that? I don't know again. Just came into my head. It's a 1980s pop song. Richard comes out there with a great comment. The British, including the Scots, invented the modern world. Absolutely we did. Jack White watching from County Antrim. Greg Thompson, UK all the way. Nobody going to take our British rights away today. Robert says, you can't erase history, many have tried. Yeah. Okay, well, we've got our man Calin coming up in 1 minute, and looking forward to that. When Calin comes in, that's Calin, please give him a warm good morning UK welcome. That's it, Christopher. Take It Away is a Paul McCartney song. I think it's from Tug of War 1982. That's right, that's the one, Paul McCartney. I remember that now, thanks. Good, now it looks like Calin is in the studio, so I'm just going to put my headphones on and we will fire over to Mr. Wynne. And add to the stream. Everything is here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Good to see you, Calin.
It's good to see you too.
That's you in your amazing workshop there. Let me just put up your name so that people know exactly who you are here. Great to see you. What's the weather like up in your neck of the woods?
So it's quite cloudy today, but yesterday it was absolutely roasting. And I went swimming down Loch Ness, and it was like the Mediterranean. The water was actually warm. It was really nice. So we're getting a good week up here.
Excellent. And what's it like usually? Is it usually as hot as that in that neck of the woods?
Yeah, this time of year we do get like scorching summers. So it's quite consistent because obviously the west coast kind of takes all the rain. So we kind of get like a predictable, quite calm. It's usually quite stable weather that we get here.
Right. Good. Well, Calin, I want to say, and I've said this to you before, thank you very much for designing and sending us this incredible flag that you did from our Union Heart.
My pleasure.
Based on our Union Heart, and of course you've got a lot of design skills yourself to not just do that, because that's a complicated one. I mean, that's like with bent wood and everything like that. So I think that basically shows the extent of the kind of skills that you've got. You know, it's a 3D piece. It comes up nicely there with a light on it, and I'm noticing something in the background there. You've got towards behind your right shoulder. Is that a half? No,
the half one. Yeah. So that's half Scottish. I'll just reach over.
Yeah.
Gotta watch I don't get tethered. So yeah, this is half Scottish, half UK, and some people may think it's a strange design, but the meaning behind this is that you can be proud of both. So it's like uniting them together. Even though Scotland obviously already is represented, this kind of shows that you can have like both the identities at once. You don't need to feel that you're like either Scottish or just British. It's like you can have a healthy middle.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Yes. Good. And you do Scottish flags also, and I've seen you did a sort of lion rampant design as well. So yeah. And what's this one on your left? Does that say hurricane?
Yeah. So this is the Hawker Hurricane, and I've started to do more sort of like World War II themed stuff. So this was all done on a laser. So this has been engraved line by line to show all the detail, and it's got the name of the fighter, the country, and the Battle of Britain. So I've done this for the Spitfire, the Lancaster, the Titanic, and this one's just a Hurricane. So I'm really happy with how this one turned out. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that's incredible. Just hold it still there for a second. Yeah. That's really nice. And that's kind of lasered on. That the Hurricane's lasered on.
Yeah.
Burnt on, I guess.
And I can do any design. I'm just waiting for a new laser to arrive, which is much larger, so I'll be able to do custom pieces as well. If you've got any ideas or anything, I can easily slap them onto wood.
Brilliant. And who buys the planes? You know.
Ooh, it's usually World War II enthusiasts. So, and there's quite a lot of them in the UK. So I haven't really made a push to sell them, but I've just kind of been stocking up, and I'm going to hopefully move them in the future.
Oh, I think they'll move very quickly. Oh, look at that. What's that?
So this is just a map of the UK. I mean, I've got ones for Scotland as well. It's been lasered on. This one still needs to have its varnish, but yeah, it's all there.
And it says Britannia. What does it say below Britannia?
United Kingdom.
Fantastic.
So it's just got the. It's just Fantastic. So some people
I love that one. Yeah, that's a good one. A good one.
Go religious as well, you know.
Ah, right, yes, that'll sell, definitely.
Possibilities are endless for them.
Exactly, the possibilities are endless, and you've got not just the mind to think of them, but you've also got the skill to turn it into reality, which is the two things that you need. And so if somebody comes with an idea that they themselves want, are you able to do stuff for them? Like if somebody sent you a message, can you do this? What would you say to them?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the best way to get in touch is on through Facebook. So Facebook, DramaticScotland Creations. If you drop me a message on there, I usually just discuss, and then we can come up with an idea, and I'll always give a rough price, and I'll do a discount for your guys as always. But yeah, anything's possible. So if you want a union with like Rangers.
Oh, there you go. Hold that one up.
Yeah.
There you go. I think there'll be a few people
Plenty of options.
will like that particular one. But I'm sure you could do it for any football team,
Absolutely, yeah.
and anybody who wants it for, like, anything. Three Rovers or Celtic or whatever. You'll do the design. You don't mind that at all. So anybody who wants something for their own particular football team, just give Calin a message, and that's what to do it. It's facebook.com/DramaticScotland. Send them a message there, and no doubt, Calin, you'll look into that. But these are really good designs, and what I really like about it as well is that you're bringing back Britishness. You're bringing it back into the public sphere, because certainly here in Scotland we have a Scottish separatist party and a Green Cabbage party who want to get rid of the idea of Britishness, and are doing everything they can to push it out of the public sphere in those areas over which they have control, such as, for example, flying the Union flag from public buildings which the Scottish administration controls. In 2018 they brought in an edict forbidding the Union flag to fly except on Remembrance Day for now. So on the buildings that they control, which is not necessarily the council buildings, but it's on like the so-called Scottish government buildings and Quango buildings that are run by the Scottish SNP administration.
Absolutely, and
which is vile because that's an attack against our identity as Scots and British. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that we see this pretty much everywhere now. Like, even if you turn on any like BBC News, even The Guardian, they posted a paper, an article the other week complaining that the British government spent £160,000 putting flags on their government buildings. And yeah, £160,000, that's a lot of money to a single person, but to a country, that's nothing. And The Guardian was complaining about 160k that could have gone to like put flags on buildings, but they wanted to, they completely ignored £37 billion that was wasted on a stupid NHS app that doesn't even work. So they seem to have their like focus on wanting to just diminish British identity everywhere they can see it, no exceptions. And we're heading to a future where in 5 years' time, these flags may be illegal on social media, online. So it's not. Yeah, I mean, we just need to do our best to uphold the image, I guess.
Well, absolutely, and you're doing more than your best for that. But what you're saying there is actually possible, because it's an easy. You just have to look at how they would do it. Okay, they would say, for example, that we've just discovered that during the British Empire days they used to fly the Union Jack, and during those days they were also racists, and so the two are the same thing, and so anybody flying it. And you have your anti-terrorism squad around knocking on your door. So that's it. I'm just freezing here, so I'm just going to remove myself from the screen and I'm going to come back in. But you just keep talking. Did you not? Somebody's asked a question here. Do you have a Union? Do you have a UK flag with the red dragon on it to represent Wales?
Yes, so I actually made this. Someone got in touch. I think she's in the chat. Debbie got in touch from Aberdeen, and yeah, it was long overdue. So I have made one. I've made a Union Jack, and it had the Welsh dragon in the middle. I was really happy with it, and that one's in Aberdeen right now. I don't have any at the moment, but it was a really good flag, and I do hope to make more in the future as well. So yeah, it was pretty similar to this one. It was basically just the Union Jack, and the dragon was just laser engraved and stuck on the middle, so it gives it more of a Welsh themed Union Jack. So
excellent. Yeah, really nice. And what with your new technology, you can basically put anything in the center of the Union Jack as well. So that's really good. Greg says here, he says it's about time the Union flag was flying more in Scotland.
Couldn't agree more.
Richard asks, did you come up with the idea of wooden flags, or were there other pioneers?
Okay, so before I started this, I was kind of it was about 2 years ago, and I saw that that was when like the whole Trump thing was re-emerging, and there was a lot of American patriots started making U.S. flags, and they're just like planks of wood, and then they engraved the stars, and I thought that was really neat, and it looked really cool. So originally I thought, well, I'll give that a go, just to do a U.S. flag, and then I was like, well, if I can do a US flag, I'll try and do a Union Jack. And then I made a couple of Union Jacks just for my own. And then a friend came around and offered me £100 for it. And I was like, oh, there's a market here. So ever since that day, I've kind of just kept going. But people obviously have been making these before it, but I'm not sure if it's like a similar or slightly different design. But what I would say is, in the last 2 years, there's now about 20 of us who are making these flags. So it's not just me that makes the Jacks. There's about 20 other people in the UK who started as well, and they're selling. So there's like a mini army of us, which is quite cool.
Excellent. A mini army of Union Jack makers. That's what the country definitely needs. We need to have some kind of government funded scheme to encourage even more of you, I think. We'll run that past Nicola Sturgeon and see if she's up for it.
It'd be a good troll.
Yeah. Debbie says we love it, Calin. Referring to, the Welsh.
I enjoyed making it.
Yeah. Richard says yours are the best.
Oh, thank you, Richard. He's always commenting and supporting my work. So.
Greg literally wears his patriotism on his arm. He says, I've got a British bulldog tattoo wearing the Union flag on my arm. Well, there's an idea. You could try a British bulldog laser print on. I'm sure that would sell as well.
I'll add that to the list.
Yeah. Excellent. Yes. And Jeff's added your Facebook link into the thread. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Good. I love those flags, says Ross. And Jonathan says the flag really sets the nationalists off, especially in supermarkets for some reason.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's on like, if they see it on like a carton of milk or something, they're like, oh, this is just British exceptionalism. I'm like, well, would you rather it came from Poland? Like, I don't know. People have this like allergic gut reaction to seeing it.
Well, those people do.
Yeah.
It's like a cross to a vampire, to use that comparison, in the sense that they understand its power, because it's a very powerful symbol, and it's a symbol of unity, of course, and it's such a powerful one that they try to misrepresent it. But of course, we and you, what you're doing and what we're doing with our work as well, is we're making it fashionable again. And it's always been fashionable. It's never really not been fashionable. It's always been there. But the system, I think, understands its power, so they shy away from it in some ways. But let's hope that at the end of the day, that what we're doing will just continue to build that wider sense of Britishness throughout the land. And Richard says one of the biggest Union Jacks in Scotland is on the side of Queen Elizabeth House in Edinburgh. That's right, on the side of the building, inside the windows. They've got that very nice Union Jack design with the St Andrew's Cross on the other side. And I know they've done the same thing with the Welsh hub, the Welsh government hub as well. Shell says the lunatics asylum missing a few people, that she had to fight with the council to fly her Union flag. She says, I swore allegiance to it and served for 6 years. Well done. There was no way I was taking it down. Good attitude, Shell.
Yeah. I mean, these people, they're so like unclassy as well. Like, they'll throw eggs at your house or do something really petty if you fly it as well. Like, they've just got no manners or anything.
So, some of them might. Do you know, I was up in a wee northern town at the weekend there, which shall remain nameless, but it had some beautiful little lampposts, the sort of black lampposts with at the top like a fancy light and so on, and they're all like beautifully enameled black, and some absolute root at the time of the May election had gone along them all and plastered SNP independent stickers on each of them down the whole high street. And so obviously I removed them all. However, so firstly that told me two things. One, these people have like no respect for the architecture even of their own area, because these were the only stickers on these beautiful little black lampposts. Okay, it was the SNP stickers. Nobody else has stuck that. It was just some ignorant fool had done that and vandalised essentially the high street of this pretty northern Scottish town.
And
however,
they're not changing any minds as well. Like, doing that is not having any influence on anyone. It kind of just looks tacky.
Yes. The second thing, though, that always disturbs me is these had gone up for the May elections. Now, it's now the end of August. So that's May, June, July, August. 4 months these stickers had been on lampposts until Alistair McConaughey comes along and removes them. So what are the local people doing? And what that speaks to me again is the passivity of people. People are passive. It's like, oh, I shouldn't remove it because maybe I'll get in trouble or something. No, you just remove it, mate. Just remove it. And but people, sorry.
No, it's just because it's one of those things where it's almost like people don't want to be seen taking it down because they think that's a political move. But it's like you're genuinely just tidying up your streets here. And people seem to want to. I mean, it's like this with the face masks. People don't want to be judged by others, so they put it on anyway, even though it's kind of pointless.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing about like having them on lampposts, it's like, yeah, just take them off if you can. Get a sponge, some water, clear it up. Yeah. These towns deserve a lot better than tacky stickers from SNP supporters.
Yes, and even if you can't remove it, I mean, I just removed it with my fingernails. But even if you can't remove it all, at least removing half of it or removing as much of it as you can
just
shows
obscuring
to others. Obscuring it, yes, shows to others that somebody's come along and disagreed with that as well. So you can take it, as you said, it can be a political move, which in my case it's both. It's both a political move to get rid of that propaganda and also to help clean up the street. So yeah, got to do that. And Christopher says that he makes a point of cutting such stickers in two with a knife. Well, you can, if you don't want to do that, you can certainly do it just usually with your fingernails. Yeah.
There's not too many of them around Inverness, because I think Inverness has got quite an influx of people from England as well. So there seems to be more respect for the union up here, which is good.
Sandra says, the road up to my village has spray painted the word yes on everywhere possible. This is a country road and looks such a mess. Thankfully someone has put a lovely Union Bears image over one of them. Yes, that's what you can do, is just put your own sticker over it. Although I don't advise that. If you can take the sticker off, that's best. But if it's one of those that cannot be removed because it's like got some kind of nuclear glue behind it, then put a sticker on top of it to obscure it again. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Good. It's just coming to the bottom of 11:20, so we'll be saying goodbye to you in a minute. But anything you want to just encourage people to buy more of your stuff? Anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I will always offer a big discount to your viewers and stuff. Also, the guy who made my there's a guy down in England. He's called Jake. He makes like custom T-shirts, and he's a British chap. He's really like pro union. He's got his logo. So
what does the logo say?
It's God, King, and Country Clothing, and he's really good. So if you just I think, I'm not sure if he's still running, but it's God, King, Country Clothing, and he does like custom stuff, and it's all pro British as well, which is really cool.
Okay, well, thanks for giving a shout out to him, and he's certainly got a good name for his organisation. Thank you for what you're doing there, and if people want to buy any of your flags, please check them out at facebook.com/DramaticScotland. and you can send Calin a message at that address. Calin, we'll have you back on again, no doubt, very shortly, because you've always got new flags. You're always doing new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on, Alistair, and we'll have to have a chat about the whole scamdemic as well. We'll have to chat about that in the future sometime.
Oh yeah, we'll get into much more political stuff next time, because there's always a lot to talk about, and I know you've got a lot of ideas on all of those things.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and
thanks,
we'll say goodbye for now. Take care.
Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Fantastic. Calin Wynne of Dramatic Scotland Creations. Let me just remove this banner. Now, I've just been reminded that I didn't ask the competition question. However, there's still time, and it's based upon this day in British history that I spoke about earlier. Now, if you have the answer, please send it into contact@aforceforgood.uk. And just trying to get this to refocus. Here we go. For God Save the Queen Sweeties, which are really, really nice. I've tried them. It's very easy to enter this competition. The question is, what great British industrialist and improver of the steam engine, who was born in Greenock, died today, 25th of August? What was his name? What was the name of the industrialist who was born in Greenock and died on this day, the 25th of August, way back in 1819? If you have the answer to that, please send it in to contact@aforceforgood.uk. We've got another 10 minutes to talk about that, to talk about other things before we get to that. Tommy says, cheers, Calin. Richard says, thank you. Navister says, God bless you all. So thanks very much for those thoughts. Yes, indeed. So, something I just want to end on, because I want to flag up this article, very interesting article, which I read yesterday. It's called The Unions and the U-Turns by Ben Irvin, and we'll put the link up there. But this is a fellow who's been looking in more deeply to what's going on with the lockdown situation, and the extent to which public sector unions are involved in basically controlling or blackmailing or dominating or threatening the government. And he's referencing mainly in England, but he's identifying various key big public sector unions which are basically holding the government's back to the wall, as it were, on these matters. And it's an angle which you don't really ever hear about. And so this chap, I follow him on Twitter, and he has experience in the front line of the lockdown, because he is a delivery driver, and that's how he makes his living. And so he's had plenty of time when on the road to think about what's going on as he delivers his pizzas mainly to the people who are shutting themselves behind closed doors. And he's had plenty of time to read the newspaper articles and so on, and bring it all together in a very coherent, very large document which he's put together. And I do suggest, if you're interested in that you give it a check out. I see it's been put up there already. Thank you for that, because he identifies mainly the teachers' unions and also the medical unions, the transport unions, and the retail shop workers unions as being essentially behind forcing Boris Johnston's hand in a way that he's really unable to get out of. It's not a pro-Johnston essay by any sense of the term, but it does help to widen the perspective of what's going on and the powerful public sector unions that really just want this to continue forever. And we see that in Scotland as well, and especially in the strategy of Nicola Sturgeon, which she's not going to admit it, but I do believe it's probably a zero COVID strategy, which means that she's following her idol, that awful leader of New Zealand, whose name escapes me, Jacinda somebody. And she's like Sturgeon's, big hero. She's like, park that thought again, Alistair, okay? I've always got to be careful what I say here on live television, but she's like Sturgeon's hero, let's put it that way. So she's going to follow whatever the New Zealand thing is, and that's where we could be heading, unfortunately. But as I say, don't get too bothered about that, because hold the line and life will find a way, and humans will find a way out of it. But at the moment, don't get pressured into doing anything that you don't want to do, because it's becoming clear that whatever the government wants you to do, it will want you to do again once you've done it, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so don't get pressured into do anything else by the system, because it's not going to be worth your while. The people such as ourselves who just reject it will be in as good a condition as you in a few years' time. So you don't need to go along with what the system is trying to force on you at the moment, because they'll just force more on you. So the best thing to do is hold the line and not go along with them. Even if North Lanarkshire NHS tells you that it's going to be cheaper to go on holiday with the girls, please don't get carried along with that propaganda. Even if North Lanarkshire or the NADIDS, the UK vaccines minister, whatever his name is, even if he tells you that you'll get to a nightclub if you take like the third dose or the fourth dose or whatever, just don't go along with it, and just park the nightclub thing for the time being until we're out of this catastrophe, because there will be a way out of it. But don't go along with the system on any of what it's asking you to do. That's a pretty good and clear message. And take a look at Ben Irvin's essay, because it really is a thoughtful piece of work. Richard says he'll check it out. Jacinda Ardern, that's the one. What about the tweet this week from Helen? I don't know what that was, Sandra. Sorry. Why should we wear masks in public? Is it control? Well, Greg says he's had two and he's not taking a third. Well, that's good. I've never heard of a vaccine where you have to take 3 in 1 year. It's very, very unusual. So good for you, Greg. Good for you. Others, Paul mentioned he's getting the bank app sorted to send cash. Well, what Paul was referring there to is our union supporters program, and we have a great number of people who support us from £1.15 a week, and we'll put up the union supporters link there, and they enable us to plan each month. And so thank you to everybody who helps us from as little as £5 a month to keep going and to keep spreading this word, because this is my full-time job. And we also have a great team behind us who have been doing some sterling work recently. We've got a TikTok administrator, and I'm very proud to say that we hit 1,000 followers on TikTok 2 days ago. We're now at 1,020, and each week we're putting out very short videos on TikTok, which are getting thousands of views each. Thousands of views. One of them's got up to 48,000 views and just going on and on and on. But most of them average at least 1,000, sometimes up to 10,000. Really good stuff. And we're the only pro UK unionist organisation on TikTok. And I can give you my guarantee that we will be doing TikTok for as long as we can continue to fund that part-time work from the wonderful person who does all finding the videos and editing them and jazzing them up in the TikTok way. We've got a bang-on administrator who does that. And let's also give a shout out to our Facebook crew and our Twitter team, everybody who helps on YouTube, and our political outreach team as well. Thank you to them all. Many of them, this is their part-time job as well. So we're a full-time professional organisation here, so please do help us if you can. And one of the ways of doing that, of course, is to get our wee book for the union, which you can buy. And we'll put up the link to that also. Now, let's see. Well, do we have... I'm afraid it was my fault because I did not... Oh, wait a minute. We do. Here we go. I was looking at the wrong one. We do have a winner. We do have a winner of our competition. Now, I asked who died on this day that was born in Greenock and improved the steam engine and hang on. And the answer, of course, was James Watt. And the winner of our competition is Sandra McGregor. Congratulations, Sandra. I think you might possibly be a first-time winner. And you came straight in there with the correct answer, which, of course, was James Watt, who died on this day, the 25th of August, way back in 1819. What a man he was. What a man he was, who really transformed the world. He really did. Another great Scotsman who also, because he created such wealth for the United Kingdom and for the British Empire, also helped to hold the Union together as well. And indeed all the wealth creators have inadvertently helped to hold the Union together as well. So congratulations, Sandra. Please could you simply use the same email and just send us your address and we'll get this fired off to you today. Congratulations. Ross says congrats. Shell says well done, Sandra. Tommy says well done, Sandra. Richard says congrats. Catherine says congrats. Fantastic. Sandra says wow, yes, first time. Thank you very much. You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you all in today. It's been a good program, a really good guest at the top of the hour. Thank you so much to Calin for coming in. Greg says, do you think the clown party will get another referendum in 20... 22, basically next year? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, but that's not going to stop us continuing to stand up for the United Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, it just remains for me to say thank you very much for watching. God bless the United Kingdom, and God save the Queen. We'll see you next week.